poverty, to create peace, to achieve sustainable development and inclusive societies, whether it's here in Ghana, whether it's in Canada, or elsewhere around the world. We believe fully in women's political participation as influencers, as decision makers, and as leaders, and that this participation is a key driver to advancing gender equality in Ghana. And while there has been much progress, and we congratulate all of the women who were elected most recently in last year's elections, there is still more to be done. So tonight's event is about women in politics pressing for progress in Ghana. And with a new parliament having been sworn in just over a year ago, and with district assembly elections on the horizon, it's an opportune time to think about the political environment for women in Ghana. In the 2016 elections, only 11.7% of the candidates were women. And while 13.5% of parliament is now female, it's still below the 30% threshold for women's political representation set by both regional and continental standards. And Canada too has some work that we need to do in terms of increasing our own participation in our own parliament. But I think it's noteworthy to go back to the comments from the African Union and others in their observer reports of the 2016 elections. And they made some important observations that perhaps are helpful for the discussion tonight. These observer missions observed that during the campaign, the female candidates were more often the target of violence, intimidation, and harassment than their male counterparts. And they made a number of recommendations, including that Ghana enact the Affirmative Action Bill in order to promote at least 30% of women in governance and decision-making positions. They tackle the challenge of nomination processes and deposits, particularly for parliamentary candidates. And they called for action by political parties to create appropriate mechanisms within their own internal structures to enhance political participation and leadership by both women and youth. And a year later, I think these recommendations remain relevant and could still have an important impact on the level of women's participation as candidates in future elections at different levels. Of course, when we talk about women's role in politics, it's not only limited to winning a seat in Parliament. While having women elected to Parliament is an important part of the equation, it's only one piece. And every citizen has a right and an opportunity to influence the way societies work. In fact, this is what politics is about, bringing your ideas forward, having your voice heard, and moving forward together for solutions to problems. Tonight, we particularly want to encourage young women and young men who are here to be part of this conversation about what role we are allowing women and girls to take in shaping our society, regardless of their viewpoints politically or their own career aspirations. How can we strengthen women's voices here in Ghana? What role for men as well in helping to bring those voices forward and supporting those voices? Empowering the next generation of women leaders and increasing their full and equal participation as influencers, decision makers, and catalysts for change is a key pillar of our objectives internationally. It's an opportunity that we can't afford to miss, and it's our sincere hope that by celebrating successful women in politics through events like this, that we can build on momentum and inspire today's youth who will be tomorrow's political leaders, and to continue to press for progress. Our Prime Minister has said that youth are leaders now, and we have several of you here in the audience that are already demonstrating that leadership in your own communities. Thank you for those efforts, and thank you for being here tonight. I'd like to encourage you to be inspired by the experiences, to share your experiences, and to take full advantage of the format this evening to ask some questions and to perhaps bring forward concerns that you have. I'd like to offer a special thanks to Mrs. Selikam Akolatsi Apollo, the host of Women's Voice on GBC 24, who's graciously agreed to moderate our event this evening. And over the last 4 years, she's brought many women's voices forward in Ghana, and we hope she'll continue to do that for a long time ahead. So before I turn this event over to her, I'd just like to remind you that tonight we're live on Facebook. You're welcome to tweet or post on Facebook. We'd encourage you to use the tags on Twitter that are there, and to use the hashtag Press for Progress Ghana, Press for Progress GH, so that we can continue to engage with this conversation. I look forward to hearing from you. And once again, thank you for joining us, and I look forward to a good discussion.